The Turkish lira's nosedive is a tale of economic distress that has sent ripples through global markets, drawing attention to Turkey's unique financial predicaments. Over the past few years, the lira has been in a state of persistent devaluation, raising concerns over the health of the Turkish economy. This collapse is not a sudden phenomenon, but rather the culmination of long-term policies, geopolitical tensions, and investor sentiments that have progressively undermined the currency's strength. Central to the lira's plight is the unorthodox economic policy championed by Turkey's leadership. The Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has consistently advocated for low interest rates, arguing that it would lead to lower inflation, a stance that contradicts conventional economic theory. This approach has led to frequent clashes with the central bank, resulting in the dismissal of several bank governors and undermining the institution's credibility and independence. The persistent interference with the central bank has alarmed international investors who see the undermining of the bank's autonomy as a red flag, raising fears about the long-term health and stability of the Turkish economy. Such fears have been compounded by aggressive cuts in interest rates, despite soaring inflation rates which have eroded the value of the lira and diminished the country's attractiveness to foreign capital investment. Turkey's reliance on short-term foreign capital to finance its current account deficit has left it vulnerable to shifts in investor confidence. As the lira depreciates, the cost of repaying foreign debt, much of which is denominated in dollars or euros, rises significantly. This debt burden is exacerbated by the country's sizable private sector debt, creating a domino effect that further strains the economy and the currency. Inflation has become a runaway train in Turkey, with prices of everyday goods and services skyrocketing, eroding the purchasing power of ordinary Turks. The government's statistics have often been called into question, with many economists suggesting that the actual inflation rates are much higher than officially reported. The loss of purchasing power is not only a financial issue, but also a social one, as it leads to public discontent and erodes trust in the government's economic management. Geopolitical tensions also play a significant role in the lira's instability. Turkey's assertive foreign policy maneuvers in the Eastern Mediterranean, Syria and Libya, along with its acquisition of Russian defense systems, have led to strained relationships with traditional allies. Sanctions and the threat of further sanctions by the United States and the European Union loom large over the Turkish economy, deterring investment and putting additional pressure on the lira. The COVID-19 pandemic has dealt a severe blow to key sectors of the Turkish economy, especially tourism, which is a significant source of foreign currency. The global downturn caused by the pandemic has decreased demand for Turkish exports, another important revenue stream. These factors combined have put a squeeze on the country's foreign exchange reserves, which are crucial for defending the value of the lira. Moreover, the government's measures to stem the lira's fall have often been perceived as short-term fixes rather than long-term solutions. Tactics such as selling foreign reserves to prop up the lira, imposing capital controls, and providing state-backed credit guarantees have raised concerns about the sustainability of such measures and have often resulted in a brief respite, followed by a continued slide in the currency's value. The erosion of institutional credibility extends beyond the central bank. There is a growing perception of erosion in the independence of various institutions, including the judiciary, which influences economic confidence and decision-making. In the eyes of both domestic and international observers, this erosion of institutional checks and balances raises doubts about the rule of law and the security of investments. Structural problems in the Turkish economy also contribute to the lira's decline. The economy is characterized by a high dependency on imported energy and intermediate goods, which becomes increasingly costly as the lira depreciates, contributing to the current account deficit and inflationary pressures. Moreover, the manufacturing sector, which could potentially offer a buffer against currency shocks, has not been developed to the extent that it can offset the economy's vulnerabilities. The concentration of power in the executive branch has also led to the politicization of economic policy. Decisions that should be based on economic rationale are often perceived to be driven by political motives, particularly the desire to maintain popular support through economic growth, even if it is fueled by potentially unsustainable policies like credit expansion. The Turkish lira's collapse is not just a symptom of economic mismanagement, but also a reflection of deeper societal challenges. High unemployment rates, especially among the youth, and a lack of job security contribute to a sense of uncertainty and a lack of confidence in the future of the economy. The government's efforts to create jobs through infrastructure projects and other means have not been sufficient to absorb the growing workforce or to create sustainable economic growth. The banking sector, while relatively well capitalized, faces risks from the currency's depreciation due to its exposure to foreign exchange-denominated loans. As the lira weakens, the likelihood of loan defaults increases, which could lead to a banking crisis if not managed carefully. This threat looms over the economy, adding to the urgency of stabilizing the lira. The lira's collapse has a direct impact on the cost of living for Turkish citizens, as imported goods become more expensive and inflation diminishes their income's buying power. This has led to a decline in the standard of living, with many families struggling to afford basic necessities. The political fallout from this economic distress could have significant implications for the country's leadership. The government's response to the lira's fall has also included a narrative of economic warfare, portraying the currency's depreciation as a result of foreign attacks rather than domestic policy choices. This narrative resonates with a segment of the population, but does little to address the underlying economic issues, and it risks alienating potential international allies and investors. One of the more controversial measures taken by the government in response to the currency crisis has been the call for citizens to convert their foreign currency and gold into lira. While aimed at increasing domestic support for the currency, such measures have had limited success and point to the desperation of the authorities to find a solution to stabilize the lira. Turkey's demographics present both an opportunity and a challenge. A young, dynamic population could drive economic growth, but only if accompanied by adequate job opportunities and economic stability. The current state of the lira and the broader economy has led to a brain drain, with many young, educated Turks seeking opportunities abroad, further depleting the country of its human capital. The political climate in Turkey, with upcoming elections and increasing polarization, adds an element of uncertainty to the economic outlook. The government's ability to implement necessary reforms and stabilize the lira may be constrained by political considerations, with populist measures taking precedence over difficult economic decisions. Despite the grim outlook, there remains a possibility for economic recovery if the government can implement sound economic policies, restore confidence in its institutions, and navigate the geopolitical landscape diplomatically. The lira's recovery would likely be a long-term process, requiring the restoration of policy credibility, fiscal discipline, and the rebuilding of international relationships. In conclusion, Turkey's lira is collapsing under the weight of cumulative economic policies, political choices, and external pressures that have chipped away at investor confidence and economic stability. The lira's future hinges on a complex interplay between domestic economic management and geopolitical maneuvering. For the lira to recover and for Turkey to regain economic stability, a comprehensive approach that addresses both the symptoms and root causes of its economic woes is needed. Without a concerted effort to restore credibility, introduce structural reforms, and reassess monetary policy, the risk of continued currency collapse and economic turmoil remains a pressing reality for Turkey. Thanks for watching Middle East Info. Please like and subscribe for more intriguing content on this interesting region.